Hey guys, it's Rob again, bringing you another 8-rack matchup video. This one is against Mono Black Control. So I definitely wanted to show you guys this one so we can, get to see the difference between the two strategies. I believe both strategies are viable, but they are different. So, some people confuse the idea of a discard deck or a hand control deck with the idea of a Mono Black Control or a board control deck. So this will get to demonstrate the difference between the two. I'm going to show all 3 games in this. So I win the match, but it's 2-1. He does win this first game, so I will fast forward a little bit out of it, but it was really, really close. I'll show you how close it was at the end here. Okay, so here's my opener. Not the greatest opening hand of all time. I've got Dismember, Inquisition, and Rack. I've got 2 of these Mutavaults in here. This is a questionable land. I hate the idea of colorless land, but only 2 should be okay, I'm thinking. And I've had it swing every now and again for, any damage in a deck like this is significant. So far, I'm not, hating it. So we'll test it out, see how it goes. Alright, so let's get moving here. Alright, so I tap out for Inquisition. Let me take a look at his hand here. Alright, so he has got 2 Duresses and a Dismember and a Lashwrith here. So I know exactly what kind of a deck he's playing based on... At first, when I saw the two Duresses and the Dismembers, I was like, oh wow, somebody... brought this, it's got my deck, and he said I was going to play a mirror, but then I noticed he's got the Lashwrith and the Inkmoth Nexus, so he's definitely Mono Black Control, and his game plan is going to be to discard my hand and remove threats and beat me with Infect creatures. So the Mono Black Infect, this is a Mono Black Control deck. It just happens to use the Infect creatures. I don't know if they consider it a totally different deck from Mono Black Control, but it's essentially the same thing. So he's got 2 Duresses. I pretty much know he's going to Duress me here, and he does, and he takes my Rack. Okay, he goes for the finisher to start out with. He's got another Dismember in his hand, so he can kill my Mutavault. So he's just getting rid of my threats. I'm top decking lands, which is not what I want to see at this point. And he draws another Duress. So that's 3 that he gets. And now I've got nothing but my lowly Mutavault to save me and win this game. So it's not looking good at this point. I rip a Blackmail. He's got 4 cards in his hand, so that's almost like he can hold back 1, but I can choose from the others. So let's see what he shows me here. I cast it. Let's see. He shows Lashwrith, the Inkmoth, and the Swamp. So I will pick the Inkmoth here because it's a creature. I have, no other way to get rid of his creatures right now. So I think that's the correct choice there. Lashwrith, that's down the road type of a thing, and so it's between the Inkmoth and the Swamp, so kind of a no-brainer. He does nothing with his turn. He's probably sitting on some removal spells that are dead cards in his hand. Alright, I rip an Affliction, which is nice, and I play my Mutavault. I know he's got a Dismember in his hand, but I gotta get rid of it sometimes, so go ahead, and this kind of turns into a 2-mana discard by doing this. So he kills my Mutavault, no problem. Alright, so now he's starting to play his cards. He's got the Plague Stinger, and I have no Bridge, no Liliana, and not much going for me here. So he's got the Hand of the Praetors and the Lashwrith. What do I choose? It's between the Hand and the Lashwrith. I choose the Lashwrith. I don't know if it's correct. I probably shouldn't have. I don't choose the Hand. I should have probably chosen that because he does rip a land and is able to play it this turn. So that could have been a Lashrith here. I don't know which one would have been better or worse, but I need a bridge badly. I get a Necrogen Mists, which actually I like. It's a singleton in here, so it's like my 5th Liliana, essentially. Alright, so that'll force him to discard. He discarded his Doomblade, which is useless. So he's got a lot of stuff coming, and I rip. Let's see, what do I rip? Land, yay. So I lose. But I want to draw a card. Look at what my next card was. Oh, it doesn't let you show. It doesn't show it on the replay. Oh well. It was a bridge next turn. So I missed it by 1 turn. I could have, with the bridge, I could have stabilized. He has no way to get rid of the bridge. So I could have stabilized and won this game. But, okay. So that's game 1. His strategy worked. He removed enough threats from my hand to be able to play his little infect dudes. And good for him. So let's take a look at game 2. Alright. I'd like to play first. Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, so replaying game 2. Alright. So now I've got Extirpate, 2 racks, and a Thoughtseize. I sided in the Extirpates with the idea of getting rid of his threats. Like, I'll discard a threat, and then, you know, that's one of the things about his deck is he doesn't have a ton of threats. So maybe I can, you know, work something like that. So I discard a Thoughtseize. Or I discard, he had a Ratchet Bomb. I Thoughtseized him, I saw Ratchet Bomb, I clicked through that too fast. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to extirpate right there. Because that's probably what he's got. You know, he's planning on using that to blow up my racks and whatever else I might put down there. And I can't have him doing that. So right away I extirpate that. And as I look through his deck here, I see that he has no other way of removing Bridge or Liliana. So I'm totally safe now that those Ratchet Bombs are out of the picture. My lock is completely safe. Black has no way of dealing with artifacts. His hand had a Wrench Mind in it, so I know he's going to cast it here. But I saved the rack to discard, so I discard the rack, and I am able to protect my Liliana. So that's what I really want, but look what I choose. Okay, so I rip an Ensnaring Bridge here. Now, he's running discard, so I have to prioritize what is the most important thing. You know, do I want the Liliana? Because if I cast her and use her +1, there goes my bridge. So I decide to go with the Ensnaring Bridge first. It's a higher priority target than even Liliana. So yes, moving on. Okay, so there is the Ensnaring Bridge. And if I can land that Liliana, I am sitting real pretty. Let's see what he does here. Yeah, sadly, he has another Wrench Mine. That's what he ripped. He just ripped that Wrench Mine. So there goes Lily. But he's got a hard time. He's going to have a really hard time now because I save 1 land in my hand in case I get a Raven's Crime. But he cannot play around. He puts out a Witchbane Orb, so I have no reason to save lands at this point. He cannot play around the bridge, and he figures that out. It takes him a long while to admit it. He's whacked me once with the Ink Moth here because I can't play 2 lands in 1 turn. So I have the Extirpate. I play the land. I could use Extirpate on the Wrench Mind, and I guess I do that here. Just empties my hand. You know, whatever, it's gone. I just want an empty hand so he can't attack. He casts a Plague Stinger in retaliation here. But this is just futile. He even makes this thing a creature for a second. He thinks he's going to attack. But and he realized I got no cards. I have to thought seize myself here just to keep my hand empty, which sucks, but okay. So he's playing more dudes. He plays the Phyrexian Crusader. This is a great card. This is pretty much the main reason why Mono Black Control runs Infect, the Infect package. It has protection from white and from red, which is like the biggest, most common removal spells in the format now. I mean, I realize black has a huge suite of removal spells, but you don't see them as much. You see the white and the red removal spells much more commonly in the format. So for a finisher, you want something that's going to stick around and be hard to remove, and that thing is hard to get rid of. So it's got First Strike and Infect on top of that. So it's got a lot of abilities for a 3cc creature. It's nice. It's a lot better than the Mirran Crusader, in my opinion. Okay, so I get Infest. I got to keep my hand empty, so I go ahead and cast that here. Moving on, so it gets rid of his critters. Infest will take care of those Geists and Hexproof critters too, so pretty cool with that. He did not do anything on his turn, and I just can play the long game here. I'm going to get a Liliana or a Necrogen Mists at some point, and he just needs to accept the fact that he can never play around my bridge. I removed his, I extirpated his Ratchet Bomb, and that was pretty much a good game right there, because once I landed a bridge, he's got no way to play around it. So this goes on a bit here, but eventually he just scoops when he realizes I can do this forever. You know, I use the discard on myself, and that's pretty much it. So he's getting critters, but I keep playing lands and emptying my hand. He has to stare, so he gives up right here. This is where he gave up. He knows he can't do anything, really. So, so we're at 1-1. We've got the matches split so far. So we'll see game 3. Alright, so game 3 is upon us. I have an Extirpate in hand. That's good. It worked out for me really well last time, so I want to make that work again. I keep this hand. It's not the greatest hand. It's got 4 lands in it, but I do have Raven's Crime, so I can get some use out of that thing. He runs with the Witchbane Orb. That's what he sided in, and the Ratchet Bomb too, probably. Which is slower than Leyline, obviously. So it's like same functionality of Leyline, but meanwhile, I can get some. Even if he casts it later on, I'll get some targeted meaningful discard in, and that's usually all you'll need is the beginning hand control, like Sculpt Their Hand. All right, so he plays Ratchet Bomb and. Okay, that's it. He plays Ratchet Bomb and he taps it and puts a counter on there. Okay, so Ratchet Bomb is in play. So my game plan now is to place, to get him to pop that Ratchet Bomb, and so I can extirpate it. And I'm going to bait him with a rack to do that. Probably should have played the Mutavault there, so because that's a threat. I mean, you can pretty much assume he's got some kind of removal in there, like Doomblade or whatever the hell else, Dismember he was running. So it's like I'm not super keen on activating my Mutavault, but what I did was instead of playing that, I pitched I pitched 2 lands for Raven's Crime. So I didn't play the rack, I just pitched 2 lands and made him discard 2 cards. Because 3 mana is all I need. I'll use the Mutavault for my 3rd. And here we go. So he discards another Lashwrith and this giant Infect Beater we don't have to worry about. Okay, so now I have 3 1cc threats. So I'll bait him with the rack here. And he starts to do, so it's ticking him now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got his Witchbane now. No more targeting him anymore. And he popped the Ratchet Bomb. So as soon as he pops that Ratchet Bomb, and I'll go ahead and extirpate it. Again, well, we're in the exact same scenario. He's got no way to deal with my Ensnaring Bridge. So once that's online, it's over for him. So let's see what else. Let's see what he's got in his hand. He's only got the Inquisition in his hand. So I'm actually in a really good spot here, I feel. I've got finishers. I've got the dangerous stuff is gone. Okay, so I'll cast my my 2 finishers, get them on the table. I don't have to worry about them getting removed. I could have cast the rack with colorless mana from Univault, but I actually want it in my hand so that he feels like he's going to cast his. It's kind of like a bait for his Inquisition. I don't need it anymore as long as I've gotten those bombs out of the way. The extirpate's sort of, I don't need it. So he wastes his Inquisition, getting rid of that, and I rip a Liliana, and this is looking really good for me now. He's got an empty hand and 6 damage a turn ticking on him, and even though I don't have my bridge, that's okay because he's got an empty hand and he's got to do something, and he's pretty much out of luck at this point. I don't see how he's pulling out of this, so whatever. I rip lands. It doesn't matter at this point. I discard his hand. He's got an empty hand, and then I activate the Mutavault and swing with it. And he dies next upkeep, and he gives up there. So there you go. That is the mono black control matchup. I think it's actually pretty much, there's a lot of matches that are in favor, but this one might be a little bit more in our favor than your average bear. They're not prepared they're probably least prepared for a hand control strategy. Even though they run a ton of discard themselves, when you put it against them, they kind of can't, they can't maintain it. They run a lot of board removal spells, like creature removal. Like you see, he's got the Dismembers. He's got this Go for the Throat. I saw Doomblade in there too. He's probably just got a wide, like he does singletons of, most of them, just to give him a wide range of removals. So and he's running very few creatures. So basically, once I put down my bridge, he cannot. If he can't get rid of it, the game's over. So all the rest of my stuff comes online after that. So a pretty good matchup, I think. The extirpates I like. I don't own Surgical Extraction. If I did, I would use them over the extirpates, but they're kind of expensive. Not like super expensive online, but a few bucks. And I just didn't feel like when I own the extirpates, that's kind of good enough. Plus, it's kind of nice against. They're a little bit better against Tron. I think the extirpates are. You don't have to worry about them countering it or something, but the extirpates can make the other guy feel safe, and you can use them, just pay them for 2 life. So they are better, I think. The Surgical Extraction you can pay for 2 life. I mean, so I think that is better. But that's what I got. So that's what I used, and it worked beautifully. I removed the Ratchet Bomb. That was the key play in both games. It's been said that this deck is skill intensive. I think it is too. You have to understand, how your opponent's deck works, and you have to understand fundamentals of Magic very well. You need a good grasp of that. Like the whole idea of the difference between board control and hand control. To me, that's like a fundamental, but it's sort of a lost art. I'm kind of coming to understand now that the fundamentals of Magic aren't known to everyone, even people that have been playing for a long time. Nobody stops to analyze what exactly a deck is doing. And in their case, Mono Black Control's case, ultimately, when you quantify it simply, they are using creatures to kill you. That's their main fatal weakness compared to this, because they cannot get around a bridge. If I make it so that they can't deal with, and black can't deal with artifacts anyway. So, you know, that's another weakness that I have exploited here. So, you know, it's like understanding the fundamentals of the deck and finding ways, and, you know, making sure you're selecting the cards that that they can't do without. That's your plan, and that's what you're going to do if you want to win with this deck. So, skill intensive, yeah, I would say so. Definitely more choices and more important choices in a deck like this than you'll find in like a robots, which is essentially turn your guy sideways until you win. So there you go. I hope you guys like these videos. Sorry if there's a lot of background noise. The kid's going crazy. All right, see you guys. Thumbs up.